It's another Sunday. Hello and welcome to the Business Weekly Show on Citi TV. My name is Michael Obodu. In this edition, we'll be telling you about an imminent load shedding exercise. Also about some new taxes that will commence implementation in the next couple of days. And we'll also be telling you about a shortage of cement in the capital here in Accra. All that and a couple of other stories for the next 1 hour. Ready? Let's go. In Psalm 1, 2, 3, 4, specifically from the 10th of May to the 17th of May 2021, this is going to be the fate of residents of some parts of Accra. Need I tell you the accompanying heat, especially in the night, among others? Well, I guess the right question to ask is, well, yes, you, whether you have or are in the process of buying a rechargeable lamp and fan. Following Gridco's explanation on why there must be intermittent power outages in some parts of Accra, the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, issued a schedule to guide customers. The critical question is how the 8-day exercise will affect businesses that require electricity for sustenance.
The areas that are going to be affected have been grouped into 4. Group A, B, C, and D. And we schedule in such a way that no single customer will see the outage throughout. For the 8 days, you will see probably 12-hour outage in the daytime. The next 3 days, you will see outage in the nighttime. We will rotate it so that it doesn't affect customer throughout.
That was the CEO of ECG, Kwame Ajiman-Budu, speaking to the media about the company's plans to publish a load shedding timetable for parts of the Greater Accra region. He made this known after touring the Pokwase bulk supply point together with the Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh and some agency heads. ECG on Tuesday, April 20, 2021, released the load shedding timetable, which is expected to commence on May 10 to May 17. According to them, the exercise is to enable engineers expedite work on the Pokwase bulk supply point. The release by the ECG indicated that areas such as Shiabu, Kwashibu, Abekala Pass, New Boy Town, Alhaji, Soutum, Tantra Hill, Nyamiche, Pokwase ACP Estate, and Ablekuma, among others, will be affected. Here are some business owners in some of the affected areas speaking to Citi News about their preparedness for the exercise.
It's really going to affect our business very, very well.
Why are you saying that?
Because I'm not the only person that sews around. There is a lot of people that sews around. And even if I can afford to buy a generator, I don't think other people will be able to afford to buy a generator. So it's really, really going to affect our business. We've been having these light issues before this announcement came. And we can't really tell if what they are saying is true or it's not true. So, in fact, we are not even prepared for this. If they can do something about it, like giving us some hours in a day for us to work for some time before cutting off the light, and then so that we can use that time to work. Because if I should tell him to get all of us a generator, I don't think it's going to be possible. Or we having a generator, he should provide us with fuel. I don't think he's going to do it. So I think if he's going to give us light off during the day, he should come like maybe in the morning from 6 to, let's say, 1 o'clock. Then you take it off in the afternoon. Then we can also work. They are saying it's 8 days, like how they are saying is very true for 8 days. Then we pray it should be so. It shouldn't be more than or exceed more than the 8 days.
Mostly, when we don't own the fridge, the meat inside, it will affect it because it will not be, the fish there, it will not be freeze. So when people come, they will say the fish is not freeze, the meat is not freeze, so they don't want it. It has spoiled, it's half sent, so it affects the distance inside, the meat inside. So that's one of the effects. Actually, it will affect us mostly because things like this, when it happens, when there is meat inside and there is light off, it will affect because we don't know where to send the meat. Normally we use the fridge, and so when it's like this, we don't know where to send it, so it will affect our business. And the customers too, some of them they used to it, so when they come and they don't get it, it will affect them too. When the fridge is, the generator is not working, we can use 1 week not to sell the meat. So after the 1 week, we can start the business again. That's what I think it should be less than 8 days. That means that's a week, 7 or 5 days.
Yeah, I can say we are only having a generator, so I think that's our only option. Because aside the electricity, we can't use anything aside the generator. So we have our genset. This thing will have a very negative impact on our work because the work now is not moving like in the olden days. Yes, the shops are many and the customers are always constant. So our income also remain constant. So this problem is gonna have much effect on us because you can buy about 5 gallons of fuel during the day, from morning to the evening. I think there's no problem with it. If only after the 8 days, everything will be okay for us because already we are having a very low current problem already. We are having that problem. Our power here can't even help us on the AC.
If only I could afford a solar system so I wouldn't have to bother about ECG taking my lights. Anyways, have you noticed the increase in the price of cement? It's not easy. To make matters worse, even when you have the money, where to get some to buy becomes the next issue. The other time we told you about a similar situation in the Savannah region. Looks like Accra, the national capital, has a similar problem. So how are people who are currently building faring? And more importantly, what do businesses who sell cement make of this? Let's find out.
Cement is most of the time the first building material that comes to mind when one wants to put up a building, right from the foundation of any building through to its walls, high or low. The use of cement is crucial. According to official figures, as at 2017, Ghana's cement production capacity exceeded domestic demand, which stood at around 5 million tons. Also, figures from the Bank of Ghana indicate volume of cement sales in the construction sector increased by 29% year-on-year during the third quarter of 2020 to over 1 million tons from about 800,000 tons recorded in the third quarter of 2019. Despite the presence of both local and foreign cement on the markets, there appears to be a general shortage and spike in the price of the products. Daniel Dansu has been a mason contractor for the past 25 years. He confirms to me the shortage and price fluctuations in the products and how the development is affecting his operations in these times.
Say kra opa unya cement say e be chase sa obekọ be e ton no kra no yes e bi ni ho so na bi won ya lock no price o mo dey penti last this year ya na e ton no 38 but they say e 48 e bi kra ton 50 say sukra unya obechin sa de ka bechin sa ansan ya nya bi price no person tum ni nti e wo krom se bi ni ho ne te say ama wo ya honest ne so wo ko ka kire wo so say na ye boa ya ho nti na ma bibia ko sro te ama consortium say ye bre me fan say 1 month ago ni almost starting be 1 month na de call 43 before 1 week na de call 46 they say me for 1 month ya say na call 48 we be call ba bi turn 52 no. They say in 1 month money when I say the cement totum basa rough. So far no, I broach 4 pound am your adwuma. So far me wo be nipa be 10. Me omodan ma chassis. Ba yare ba ye no, omuntimi first scale. Ofre bia say ye chefie sa. They say na board na ye ton 48. E be wa 38. Say ukoto 55. Ukokan say ma kakra mbeje ma ma ba no so de bo na to so.
Individuals building their homes and who have to cough up extra money to complete their buildings around this time are equally having it difficult. I spoke to one who shares her experience with me.
Well, it wasn't easy at all. It was very, very difficult. You know, during the COVID time, a lot of businesses stopped operating. A lot of people too were not going to work. But we also wanted to move in as quickly as possible. So we had to make do with the little that was available at that time. And what I will say is that, what I'll also add is that prices after the restrictions COVID restrictions were eased, that was when people started to come in together. And we realized that prices had gone up. You know, something that we would have paid so little for, now we had to pay twice as much for. So sometimes when they came asking for more money, more cement, then we wondered. It wasn't as if we didn't believe them, but we wondered that within such a short time, prices have risen so fast. It wasn't easy at all.
I spoke to more cement dealers throughout Accra. Samuel Ajay is one of them.
Kakra na 2 cities, kakra na 1 city. Today they are more price now cost ropa. Nje wo mo ba me fa ni say wo mo hia de o mutumi ton ba ko. Ba yes so yen so your business no and me move to say first no.
Like the other cement suppliers I have spoken to, Yao Seth cannot tell what is accounting for the present situation.
No dey me ntumi nchire. I dey me ntumi nchire ya. Personal quantum ya. By see area say so dan kakra because of pricing.
For over a week, Isaac Achampong, who is a contractor, has been unable to get the amount of cement bags he needs for his projects.
I'm here to buy a bag of 45 pieces, but I understand it is in shortage. So I'm looking for a place to get them. I visited Atala at Kaswa area, and I was told it's completely out of stock. So I'm still looking around to see if I can get them.
A member representing construction industry consumers on the Portland Cement Monitoring Committee, Sami Amaigaibo, tells Citi Business News the shortage may be linked to the unavailability of clinker used in producing cement.
Most of the companies told us that it is mainly due to the cost of clinker, which is the primary material for cement production, which we don't have in this country. So that is important. And that most of the plants that supply them clinkers have either, broken on because of the COVID outbreak, or they have actually completely shut down. And so most of the materials have, which is I think towards China, they are the people who seem to be in constant production, and the rest don't seem to have it, and they blame it on that most of the factories have either closed down or they have reduced production, and sometimes their local country demand is even a problem. So exporting has been a challenge, and so we have not met as the committee to evaluate the problem, except making phone calls here and there to find out among ourselves what the situation is. And everybody is not too sure about why it is short in the system, because the manufacturers have not indicated to me or to us that they have stopped production. I'm sure before this weekend, the committee will look at the issues and maybe come out with a response to it.
Cement shortage, I just hope it's not an artificial one just to increase prices. Anyways, away from that, the month of May will be a very interesting one. While the load shedding will start on one hand, we will also be dealing with the implementation of new taxes. The government introduced new taxes and levies in order to help it raise more money to run the country. Some of the taxes will result in an increase in fuel prices. Although government believes these new taxes are necessary evils, especially with the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, we still will feel the pinch. Our next video will tell you more about these new levies.
According to government's 2021 budget statement, the implementation of the new taxes is expected to help in rebuilding and strengthening the country's public finances, deliver critical government services, and support the transformation of the economy, among others. Per the new notice from the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, the COVID-19 Health Recovery Levy will see the imposition of a 1% levy on the supply of goods and services made in the country other than exempt goods or services, and import of goods and services other than exempt imports. The levy also applies to the supply of goods subject to the VAT flat rate. The Financial Sector Recovery Levy will lead to the imposition of a 5% levy on the profit before tax of banks. The tax is payable in quarterly installments. However, for 2021, the levy is payable in 3 installments commencing from 30th June 2021. Meanwhile, the amended Energy Sector Levy will lead to the imposition of 20 pesos per litre of petrol and diesel and 18 pesos per kilogram of liquefied petroleum gas (LPG). There will also be an imposition of a sanitation and pollution levy of 10 pesos per litre of petrol and diesel respectively. Commenting on the impact of the new taxes, Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, expressed his disappointment and warned the public will turn to firewood and charcoal if they find LPG prices to be high.
Currently, the average household cylinder, that is the 14.5 kg, is costing between 92 and 95 Ghana cedis per bottle. With the purported introduction of this tax, consumers are expected to pay almost 100 Ghana cedis per cylinder. This is very sad, and we expect every well-meaning Ghanaian to be very, very, very much disappointed at the introduction of this tax. This is seriously going to worsen the LPG consumption rate. Consumption is on the decline since November last year, and this tax is going to further worsen the plight of LPG consumption in Ghana.
On the impact on fuel prices, Duncan Amwa, the Executive Secretary at the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers (COPEC), bemoaned the rising tax component in the price build-up of fuel and said Ghanaians are going to be further burdened going forward.
What GRA is communicating is that effective 1st of May, we are going to see additional taxes applied to your fuel prices and to your LPG prices. That would naturally take your taxes to above 50% per every single litre. Post-COVID, most Ghanaians would have expected that we would be embarking on policies that would be easing hardships on Ghanaians. Unfortunately, the posturing of the finance minister, i.e. the budget, is one that is significantly going to impose further hardships on the already complaining Ghanaians.
Still on taxes, a tax court has recently been established, and many believe it will significantly help government meet some of its local revenue targets. The Chief Justice, His Lordship Kwesi Niniaboa, had earlier indicated that the Judicial Service is preparing to establish a tax court to deal with the prosecution of tax cases. But what more needs to be done to complement the new outfit?
According to the 2021 budget, total revenue and grants for this year is pegged at 72.4 billion Ghana cedis, out of which domestic revenue is estimated at 70.9 billion Ghana cedis. Of the total domestic revenue, non-oil tax revenue will constitute about 74% and amount to 53.6 billion Ghana cedis, reflecting the impact of expected improvement in tax compliance and reforms in revenue administration. In order to ensure the high targets are met, government in the budget statement stated that the Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) will intensify audits and institute measures to recover all outstanding debts and enforce collections in the extractive industry. To assist the efforts of government, the judiciary, according to the Chief Justice, His Lordship Kwesi Niniaboa, is preparing to establish a tax court to deal with prosecution of tax cases. Commenting on the expected impact of such a court, a tax specialist at Oxfam Ghana, Dr. Alex Ampabeng, tells Citi Business News the new development will help shore up government's revenue mobilization drive, as the punishment of defaulters will serve as a deterrent to others.
I think it's a step in the right direction that we have a dedicated court which will be following one case after the other without letting the case die because other pressing issues have come to the court. But here we are, there's a court that is specifically going to deal with tax cases. So there'll be one tax case after the other. There's more time to follow through till the end. And my understanding as we speak is that some judges have already been trained or are being trained on tax-specific issues.
Dr. Ampabe meanwhile added that significant improvement in public education on tax issues, a reduction in tax exemptions, as well as other steps are needed to see an overall improvement in the country's domestic non-oil tax revenue.
The tax court is one positive step, but there are other enablers which I believe should be present if the task force are to work to the way we want. And one of them is that Issues around whistleblowing should be taken care of very seriously. So going forward, one thing that GRA and the government need to do is to ensure that we improve tax knowledge. Tax compliance will come from tax knowledge. We need to make sure that investing in tax education for the masses is as equally important as building the courts. And another key point, Bobby, is the issue of growing tax exemptions. You know, our tax exemptions currently stand for almost 5.9 billion. These are very important. There are also other critical areas you need to consider for revenue generation. Property taxation is one of them. I think when you have all this in place going forward, I believe we will be able to generate the needed revenue.
Creditors of Airtel Tigo, there's some good news for you. Government says it will pay you all the debts the company owes you, so you do not have to worry. The government took over ownership of the company after its original owners transferred the shares of the company to the government of Ghana. Well, for you customers who are not sure about your fate after this move, the government says you should relax and stay with the telco because everything is under control.
The agreement between the parent companies of Airtel Tigo and the government of Ghana transfers all customers, assets, and agreed liabilities of the company to the government. According to the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, aside settling the debts of all creditors of Airtel Tigo, it will continue to do its best to safeguard and grow the telecommunications sector.
We will use this opportunity to assure all local creditors of the company that we're going to sit down with them and look at ways in which we can assist the company to meet its obligations towards them, because all those businesses have to also thrive and succeed, and that includes anybody that the company may be indebted to us at this stage. It is still working, so this is not the time for any subscriber to move away from that company. The government is determined to protect the jobs and livelihoods of those who are dependent on this company. This sector is a very, very critical sector for government, and we will do whatever we can to encourage increased competition, diversity, growth, and vibrancy in this sector.
Ursula Owusu-Ekufu further disclosed to Citi Business News that Airtel Tigo was enjoying debt relief from its creditors. This was to give the company the opportunity to start off on an almost clean sheet. According to her, shareholders and creditors have either written off loans advanced to the company or slashed down the liability.
Now, the shareholders of Airtel and Tigo have taken. They are not passing on the shareholder loans which they advanced to the company. That's one of the main items which were hurting the balance sheet of the company. So 100% of all the loans have been forgiven, more or less. They are not seeking repayment of those loans. There were also some commercial facilities that the company had taken. Key among them was a $100 million facility from Standard Bank. And that is also, the Airtel and Tigo have taken 50% of that facility. So the company is only now saddled with 50% of that liability. These measures also help free the company from the debt burden that it was under.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and Star Times box. Citi TV, it's your world.
A lot of things we use in this country are from China. Clothes, shoes, phones, you name it. But what do you think about the idea of us one day importing cocoa from China? I mean, Tete Kwashi's Ghana importing cocoa. Hey, that will literally be scary, right? That is like losing our much adored pride. Well, it's not like it's happening anytime soon necessarily. But on the real though, China has exported its first batch of cocoa. It was not much though, it was just about 500 kilograms, the equivalent of 10 bags of cement. But you know also, the European Union recently threatened to stop buying cocoa from Ghana because of the environmental impact of galamsey. Some people, like the Concerned Farmers Association, think that all of this are a major concern, particularly because of China's ability to mass produce. There are others though, like Ghana's former ambassador to China, Edward Boateng, who thinks there's really no cause for worry.
On the 1st of October 2020, Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire began receiving a living income differential, LID, of $400 per ton of cocoa, which is an additional earning from the world market price for cocoa farmers. The living income differential is meant to guarantee some stability to the producer price of cocoa and sustainability of the industry in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. This happened after Ghanaian cocoa farmers had for many years been left at the bottom chain of the cocoa sector, despite the fact that Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire together produce 65% of the world's cocoa beans, and yet had no say in its pricing. Less than a year into the implementation of the living income differential in the fight for cocoa farmers, the European Union has threatened to ban imports of Ghana's cocoa beans on the basis of environmental and child labor issues. Joseph Boahin Edu, however, believes the sudden heightened interest and threats from the EU on Ghana after the implementation of the living income differential is unfair, as many European countries, including China, which it recently imported from, equally have their share in environmental and other issues which they are frowning upon.
The only thing which I'm not happy is that Europe is tolerating that cocoa, even though it's also being produced from a tropical forest. You know, the farmers, they cut the tropical forest before the cocoa was planted. When we cut forest here, in our case, even secondary forest, say we are doing deforestation. But when China cuts forest to plant cocoa, it's not deforestation. I've seen a video whereby a child is pushing, you know, a drying board, cocoa board, on that island to dry cocoa. That's not child labor. But in Ghana, when a 16-year-old girl goes to fetch water from the riverside, it's considered a child labor in cocoa. You see, the double standards, these are the things that you have to look at. And let's be very frank and, you know, face our conventional consumers market. Let's face them squarely. Even when you take the issue of deforestation, in Europe, worse things are happening. In a way, as some school of thought will have it, they will just want to use it to manipulate the price, including even the LID. That's how I see it. Because immediately LID came, all of a sudden, hair broke loose and everybody is talking about child labor, everybody is talking about deforestation. And it appears that Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire had been targeted. That's how I see it. Because nobody is complaining about the other countries except Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire.
Meanwhile, the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana says the recent developments in the cocoa industry requires a revisit to the conversation of cocoa processing in the country. President of the association, Nana Obuadie Opambo Bonsu II, says a lot more attention has to be given to processing of cocoa in order to protect the interest of the country and local farmers.
China's cocoa production, well, I don't see it being a threat to us, but then at the same time, I think it's a little bit threat in a way because looking at the way Ghana was leading, and at the end of the day, Côte d'Ivoire came to lead, and now China is leading, and now the European Union has even threatened not to buy our cocoa. We think this is the time that we have to focus within Africa and then have to focus how to add value to our cocoa. And then at the same time, it seems we are not being serious so far as the cocoa is concerned, because they're looking at some of the challenges that is been affecting the cocoa, and then the board being so quiet and mute about it. I think it is very serious, and then it is even a threat on the cocoa. As I'm speaking to you, with the hope of Ghana cocoa brings on the Western North cocoa, because that is where they did the rehabilitation, and then government can boast of getting more yield from that side. But apart from that, we don't have cocoa anywhere again, because when we go to the western region itself, they've destroyed all. Eastern region, most of the cocoa plantations have been destroyed for rubber, others have been destroyed for galamsey and a whole lot of things. So I think it is time for cocoa board to put their feet down.
On the other hand, former Ghanaian ambassador to China, Edward Boateng, has stated that he doubts China will pose a major threat to Ghana as it begins growing its own cocoa. He, however, stated that the development presented an opportunity for the country to begin looking at other products made from cocoa to stay relevant.
I think China has made progress in terms of developing the cocoa, but I don't think that they are going to pose a major threat to us. I mean, there are a lot of factors which inure to our competitive advantage. The climate, I mean, in West Africa, we also have more land to grow cocoa than China. Yes, China may be a bigger country, but the arable land available in Ghana for agriculture is much, much higher than China. So I don't think we should. I think what we should be looking at is how much more can we do with our cocoa. That is what that's the way I would look at it, in terms of our competitive advantage. I still think that we as a nation we have more room to develop more products with our cocoa. Everybody talks about chocolate, but there are a lot of other product lines: wine, soap, body creams of all types, desserts, different types of things we can do. Even if we take out the Chinese market with the Continental Free Trade, Africa itself offers us a huge market. If we get even 20% of the population of Africa to consume our cocoa, that itself is a big market.
I think I agree with the former ambassador to China. Cocoa processing is definitely the way to go. Just think about the number of jobs that this can create. We stay in the agric sector, and this time we head to the Woodley region, where COVID-19 has become a blessing for businesses that deal in natural spices. People there are buying a lot of them because they believe it can boost their immune system. But I'm wondering though, which of these spices have they been buying? After all, don't we all need our immune system boosted? Let's find out together.
There is a high demand for natural spices by the public in the Sunyani municipality of the Bono region. According to the traders at the main Sunyani market, the purchase of natural spices has shot up and the market has been good for them. The traders noted that the purchase of black pepper, guinea pepper, Aridan, among others, has been on the high side following the outbreak of COVID-19, as people believe that these natural spices could boost their immune system. Some of the traders have been speaking to Citi Business News.
Pepper and Hintia, na stroni from Visa, na Ridiaba, na Messua Kunu, Nemo Topa. They say, Nam Yalia could the way I buy ye. Yes, it's any money near Bebois. I come one away you moon. Na face we say no, Nemanum Dugum and Moni Pediano. Tina Daya nearby local spices. No kitten is any money in I say no, if I near Gianni.
Yadiana by the local no more talk right time. Maginin spice no more chance. Pepper, Rintia, and Uncle Kitty, rosemary or motopa.
Me and to my ye. And I'm say a free eye my muntino. Local spices say or motopa. And I'm say I learn a buy local spices. They say me and Tina pepper motopa. Na star so moto. Na kitten on me. I read the abani now motopa.
Some of the buyers share their thoughts on why they prefer the natural spices.
Media akakaduro ne ayino hwentiano ne pepper no na mede yeslo fi se wonoma yarwa bebre timi efru ni pedrem tina ma me yusu sa ayino hwentiane ayino akakaduro
natural chemicals bia mfra ti ono yusu a na me gidi se effective bia ni we num se yenum de modile we de yam se yen aba bia so sa yare won padie ti en na yam spices pa me woli yam mix ya yam ayen natural na me woli yen yam me spices ya na me di.
Despite the increase in sales of these natural spices, these traders have some challenges.
Nema no ho ayeden bibi ti se pepper se ni ha we say den ka wa ha so na munua na o matwetwa no ti amani nyina akodi aman foforo so a o de banti amani bo ayeden kakra na se ni to nti ofo no so ba beto wa ha burgers ne ba no mo ko mo to 20 amani bo ayeden
o mo de pepper ne ba na yeto omba omo so mo kra ne bo ayeden ti e be se sa ne ma no mo kra ba de ko mo hwe because ene ma ya de ntimi ye no nti omo bitimi tie so e ba ne so yetimi atobi bo ni nti ne ba yetimi to kakra bi yetimi to bebre
do why say vanse nketenkete say pepper mu eno e firi ye nti ne bo na wo soro kakra so nyame adom kakra kakra yeto.
Black pepper and guinea pepper as immune boosters? Well, if you're a health and a food expert and can confirm this, please drop a comment on our Facebook live stream. From the Bono region, let's now turn to the Ashanti region. Traders there are kicking against calls for President Akufo-Addo to reopen locked-up shops belonging to some Nigerians. The shops of foreigners engaged in retail trade were closed down across the country because it's against the law. And the Ghana Union of Traders Association wants the law to be enforced by the letter.
In recent times, there have been various disagreements between Ghanaian traders and their counterparts from other countries, particularly Nigeria. The local traders argued that, per Ghana's laws, the foreigners have no right to engage in retail trade as the activities affect them negatively. Government subsequently set up a presidential committee to properly scrutinize all foreigners engaging in trading activities in the country. Several shops belonging to foreigners were closed. However, the foreigners have reiterated calls for authorities to allow them to reopen their shops. The most recent call was made by the former president of the Nigerian community in the Ashanti region, Chief Nkem Tony Onyiagolu, who in a press statement called on President Akufo-Addo to give a directive for all shops belonging to foreigners to be reopened. Reacting to this at a news conference, the chairman of the Ashanti Regional Chapter of Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Anthony Opon, says its members want the president to reject the call by the foreign traders outrightly, as it lacks merit.
They're making it look as if they are the only targeted group. That one is not true. We close a lot of shops. The truth is that they form the majority of the foreigners. So definitely they will form a larger number, a chunk of the people. But those shops were closed across board. Foreigners of all nationals, Indians, Pakistanis, and those people who were operating around the time the exercise began at those vicinities that we visited, all their shops were locked. And the call for the president to review the exercise is also an insult to the president and to the people. Look as if the president didn't think and just woke up one day and gave instructions to the people to go and lock their shops. We are a sovereign country. We have rules and regulations that regularize their trade policies. And that's the way we want to go, despite the fact that we are associated with so many international bodies. Our laws, the constitution of this country, take precedence over all those laws and treaties that we've signed to. So they can dictate to us what Ghana must do with our laws, as far as we've not infringed on any international laws.
Ms. Antonio Pon also alleged that their checks have shown that there are a number of foreigners who are still engaging in retail trade in various areas in the region. He's thus urging the Presidential Committee on Foreigners in Retail Trade to, as a matter of urgency, begin the second phase of the exercise to flush out all foreigners trading illegally in the country.
We are, by this press release, calling on the government authorities, we mean the committee, to start the second phase of the exercise as soon as possible, because we've waited for long. The first phase ended somewhere in October, and by then we're heading towards the elections. So the view or the general acceptance was that, since the election was coming, we should exercise some patience and make sure we finish the exercise. After the election, then came the court case, and now the president is constituting his government. So we've been patient enough. But it looks as if these people are taking it for a ride. As I'm talking to you now, as you go to Achemfo Market, go to Alaba, go to Yachan School, you will see them displaying their goods in front of the log shops. There are people operating now. We have some operating on motorbikes. Some are distributing goods with distribution vans going as far as our villages to sell their goods. So they shouldn't make Ghana look bad in the eyes of the international community and the Ghana here as if we are killing somebody. Ghana is a peace-loving country, people. We've been so lenient with these people, and they've taken us for a ride for that.
You have heard it from the traders. Now to one more reason to be a proud Ghanaian. Twitter has decided to set up its Africa headquarters here in Ghana. It's good news that the country looks attractive to such a good tech giant. But what does it really mean for us as a country? I had a conversation with someone who understands the tech space. Stephen Bwedi is a digital marketing consultant, and he's going to help us understand this whole conversation of Twitter setting up its headquarters here in Ghana. Hi, Stephen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael.
What does it mean for Twitter to have its headquarters here in Ghana, and how does that trickle down to Africa in general?
Oh, wow. First off, it means we can celebrate, we can have a bit of fanfare like we're doing now. It's a big deal, okay? But after that, there are things we need to look at, and I'm sure we'll get into some of these. So the fact that we've been chosen out of all the African countries to be the headquarters, that's great. More so since we beat Nigeria to it. Yeah, why not? Let's celebrate.
Talking about Nigeria, we do know that Nigeria is probably Twitter's biggest market in Africa. How much of a big deal is it, the fact that it is in Africa, and where does that, in Ghana rather, and where does that put Nigeria on Twitter?
Nigeria and South Africa are probably their biggest markets, but South Africa, they're already running a lot of stuff there. Okay. It's big, I mean, for Nigeria, even for Nigeria, because it's only like an hour's flight to Lagos. So it means they can be more local, they can just jet in there, do whatever they need to do, run the operations there. Why they chose Ghana over Nigeria is a question, I mean, people are asking. Nobody knows. Probably because of political instability in Nigeria. We are fairly more stable than Nigeria. Plus, maybe because of the conditions, like some of the economic issues, so they probably decided that it makes more sense to have the headquarters in Ghana. But Nigeria is a big market for them when it comes to arts, for example. That. Plus, they have over 30 million Twitter users in Nigeria, so that's huge. A lot of activity on Twitter there.
Twitter headquarters of Africa in Ghana speaks jobs in the minds of so many people. How valid is that opinion?
It should, but we need to ask what kind of operations are they going to run. Normally, one of the things they would do for most businesses is that they would run, for example, a call center in that market. With a call center, what I mean is that all their customer service issues are fielded in that country. So they set up a call center with a number, hundreds of people running a 24-hour operation. So from support for people having issues using Twitter, for example, all the way to data entry and things like that. If that's what they're going to run here, that's great. It will mean a lot of jobs for people like university students and all sorts of people with customer service skills. If not, then it's not really as big as we want to. I mean, for now they've advertised 12 jobs. What next? Even the 12 jobs, some of them are going to be running from home. So what next? We need to ask those questions. What kind of operation are they going to run? The sense I get is that initially they may just be running like a sales operation from here. And that makes sense because they're probably targeting the big sales opportunities in Nigeria. When it comes to digital ads, for example, Google and Facebook they are the big players in there. Twitter is not amongst them. So Twitter wants to grow its ad revenue base. So they're probably targeting Nigeria. Ghana being so close to Nigeria, it makes sense to be here. So we need to ask those questions.
What does this move really say about the tech space in Africa and then locally here in Ghana too?
I think it means that our infrastructure, have been upgraded. It's good. A few years ago, it was more of even connectivity issues. But now 4G is everywhere. 5G, we're talking 5G. We have more skilled people, either schooled here or schooled abroad and have returned back. We've got so many tech hubs here. Our developers are doing great apps and all of that. So it means it's a huge endorsement for our tech community here. But are they going to use them? That's another question we need to ask. Because if they're going to be running a lot of their big operations from their base in the States, then how much of a tech resource, are they going to be requiring from Ghana?
So now, first of all, we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat station here in Ghana. Now Twitter is also is also going to set up its headquarters here in Ghana. How does this make us look on the international front, and how can we as a country better take advantage of these opportunities?
It makes us look good. It means we're a home where people, businesses, big businesses like this, find comfortable to come and run the operations. We should be getting more. But I often say that it depends on the way we tell our story. We need to position ourselves. So, for example, if anybody asked, what kind of skills do we have in Ghana when it comes to call center operations? When I call my bank elsewhere, it goes to a call center in Pakistan or India. No offense to them, but we speak clearer English than them. We're in a closer time zone to Europe than Pakistan and India. So why can't we get those jobs? But are we out there positioning ourselves to bring those jobs in? I don't hear that. So we need to do more and bring in more jobs. We have the stability that we're talking about. There's so much that's been spent even on connectivity in terms of the NCA and other agencies working on these. So we should be at a good place, but we are not where I believe we should be because we are not telling the story fully. We're not out there aggressively looking for these jobs to bring in.
Now, what advice would you give to young techies in the country, and what should they be focusing on moving forward, especially as Twitter sets up here in Ghana?
I think what they should do is start beginning to understand what these companies require in terms of resources. What skills do they need, and start positioning ourselves for some of these jobs. Because definitely, if our leaders are asking the right questions, some of them will have to be local jobs. So they will have to partner with some local agencies to run some of these, whether it's some chatbots that we develop that we would use to run their call centers or whatever, or even support in terms of technical support. We need to do some of these things. Start thinking global as well, so that it means, sometimes we reduce it to just saying that, it's just tech, but sometimes the local context is important. If we start thinking of Africa and start thinking global, then it means any tech job can be based here and still service markets wherever, Australia, New Zealand, or wherever.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for passing through. You shared some really good insights there.
Thanks for having me, Michael, and keep watching the Business Weekly Show.
We turn our attention now to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement after international advisory firm Confidence says government will have to do a lot more to address the issue of high cost of borrowing and power in order for the country to be able to take advantage of the AfCFTA. The research firm said these and a number of other factors will hinder Ghana from taking advantage of the estimated $3 trillion AfCFTA market.
Confidence in its research on the competitive potential of Ghana in the African Continental Free Trade Area concluded that Ghana remains a high raw material exporter, with just 20% of her exports being refined goods. Analyzing 7 major commodities that Ghana exports and imports, including agro-processed goods, cosmetics, textiles, pharmaceuticals, lubricants, plastics, and metals, Confidence ranked Ghana as part of top 10 producers in 4 of the 7 sectors.
It, however, said Ghana has reviewed comparative advantage in just 2 commodities, i.e., plastics and mineral oils, including lubricants, which, according to the report, indicates significant success of government's trade and industrialization policies. But the exorbitant cost of credit and power and the sheer wasting of time in the processing of export documents are factors Confidence found may negatively impact on Ghana's competitiveness in AfTA. Managing partner of Confidence, Michael Koto, was speaking at a dialogue on Ghana's Competitiveness and Opportunity Assessment report with stakeholders from industry and government agencies participating.
But the first thing really, from a strategy point of view, Ghana needs to quickly complete its national implementation plan for AfTA, and we should focus on consolidating our current strengths. We should diversify because we are currently over-concentrated in the ECOWAS market. So if you look at our export potential, it is very low in East Africa, in Southern Africa, in Northern Africa. It is predominantly concentrated in West Africa. And the West African market is going to open up because of AfTA. So other regions, companies and countries from other regions are going to be now exporting into the ECOWAS market. We need to diversify and venture into other sub-regions. We need to address the cost of credit and power. Trade facilitation is important. We've seen the processes that have been issued by the GRA, the Customs Division, for obtaining certificates of origin and export licenses is a bit complicated. And there's a need to simplify that process and digitize it.
Confidence also challenged Ghanaian businesses to quickly build alliances and consortiums to avoid unnecessary competitions.
Ghanaian industries and companies should build smart alliances and consortiums without delay so that we can avoid unhealthy competition amongst Ghanaian companies in the African market. This is very important. We need to invest in trade information dissemination. So GEPA and the Ministry of Trade and of course the business associations have a huge role to play here.
The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic made the Ghanaian economy not to grow as planned in 2020. Some provisional figures from the Ghana Statistical Service showed that the economy grew by 0.4%, which is much lower than what was projected by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, which is at 0.9% and 1% growth respectively.
Following the detection of the deadly coronavirus in the country, government in its 2020 mid-year budget revised the economic growth rate of the country for the year 2020 from 6.8% to 0.9%. However, while sharing the gross domestic product figures at constant prices for 2020, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim indicated that the economy grew at a slower rate than anticipated.
Provisional constant annual GDP, including oil for 2020, was 165,992.7 million Ghana cedis, and this compares with 165,307.6 million Ghana cedis, showing a marginal change of just about 700 million Ghana cedis. This is what translated into the marginal growth of 0.4% for 2020. Annual GDP for 2020 marginally grew by 0.4%. Excluding oil from a provisional constant perspective, in 2020, the GDP estimate stood at 153,335.6 million Ghana cedis, and this compared with 151,618.4 million Ghana cedis, translating into a 1.3 annual growth rate for the year 2020.
On a quarter-on-quarter basis, Professor Kobnenim indicated that the economy grew by 3.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020 when compared with a 6% growth rate recorded in the fourth quarter of 2019. He, however, added that the contractions experienced in second and third quarters were worse than originally anticipated.
Specifically from the perspective of oil, as at 2019, GDP stood at 42,455.3 million Ghana cedis, and quarter 4 2020, we have GDP from oil point of view increasing to 43,842.6 million Ghana cedis. These changes relates to a 3.3% growth rate. So between 2019 quarter 4 and 2020 quarter 4, GDP went up by 3.3 percentage points. It is important to mention that the provisional figures that were released in the second quarter of 2020 and the third quarter of 2020 indicated that the economy contracted by 3.2 percentage points and 1.1 percentage points, respectively. Based on the finalized figures, we're now seeing a contraction of 5.9% and 3.2%. It is also important to indicate that based on the provisional figures for the first quarter of 2020, the economy grew by 4.9%, but with the revised figures for the first quarter of 2020, the economy grew by 6.8%.
To our final story of the week, if you've had to constantly look for imported homeware to beautify your home for their perfect finishing, diversity of colors, and overall quality, I have news for you. You have no need to worry anymore. There's a young lady by the name Faith Ametogo, an innovator who uses sand, cement, and stone to make beautiful homeware.
Concrete homeware are perceived globally as a form of high-end decorative pieces that enhance the look and feel of homes. In Ghana, the concrete hardware ecosystem is dominated by imported brands. But a Ghanaian entrepreneur is on a mission to take over the industry through upcycling locally sourced raw materials.
Well, as a young business, I've always thought about ways that whatever our activities are will not further damage the environment that we live in. So we made it a policy to always learn and look for ways and means to recycle the everyday items that we find in our homes, or recycle the things that we use to create other products rather than just dumping them to litter the environment.
Recycling glass bottles is not a new phenomenon in Ghana. Prior to the importation of glass beads from China, most accessories on the market were made from recycled glass beads. Faith has taken this a step further by introducing glass and other waste materials into her homeware pieces.
We have a line that is the Let's Go Green collection, where we focus on using recycled glass and CDs. You remember those days before pen drives became a thing? We would save our files and documents on CD-ROMs. And I just sat down and thought, where are all those things going to? Where are they landing? So I thought of how to inculcate them into our design, and we created gorgeous pieces out of it. And I think it's not too late to start. And as a young business, we wanted to start early to make sure that we are all helping in one way or the other to protect the environment. We have jars, we have canisters, we have flower vases, we have platters that we use, but our most popular are the handcrafted vases that we do. And we have a line that is the Edinkra Fusion, which I'm so passionate about. One, it celebrates the African Ghanaian woman, especially because most of us are very industrious. We just need a platform to showcase what we can do. And two, we are merging our history with something that is modern and trendy. So we add, now what is in vogue is the line art, and we've added the Edinkra symbols to it.
A recent report by the World Bank revealed that the decline in Ghana's manufacturing sector had negatively contributed to reducing activities in the industry sector prematurely. One of the ways to revive the manufacturing sector is by helping entrepreneurs who are using locally sourced raw materials to create products that would have ordinarily been imported into the country.
We are working with a lot of local artisans. We are working with a team. My team members are all graduates who I always say that they are God sent and they are a blessing. They would have had the opportunity to work with the big guys in the industry, but they decided to believe in my dream and support me. And there are so many things we could do that will cut down on our importation. Toothpick and vases and plates and all of that can be done, but we need the support. The industry is lacking. We are not big enough. We are not there yet. So in our capacity, we will not be able to satisfy a wider market. But if there is support, if there is help, if there is a platform for everybody to showcase what they can do, I think the sky will just be the beginning for all of us.
Wearing those really beautiful pieces of art, and I'm so proud that they are locally manufactured. Well, this is where we come to the end of this week's edition of the Business Weekly Show Thank you for tuning in. For more news, you can check out our website, Citi Business News, on tune in to the business dashboard at 10 p.m. sharp every weekday. Catch a repeat 7 a.m. the next day for all the news making the round in the world of business on television. My name is Michael Obodu. Follow me on Twitter at mobodu. Thank you again for watching. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed, and bye-bye.